Hey everyone, welcome back to another gameplay commentary video. In this one, we're going to be doing a Cloak and Dagger game. And this is going to be specifically on the map Central Park, which is a convergence map. And so this is a rank game that I recently had with her. And I thought this was a really good overall rank game to showcase why Cloak and Dagger is so good on this map. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the game. And through the magical power of editing, we are back, baby. Let's get into this game. And to start off, we get Strange Portal. But it was a weird portal, I guess. I don't know. Another thing they had this game was a lot of dive, and I've made videos on this in the past, but typically, whenever they have like a Spider-Man and Venom, Spider-Man in particular, I actually really like going Cloak and Dagger, mainly because I feel like I can survive mostly on her, like her, Loki, and some others, but not as much on Invis Woman, because he kind of just cancels out my Invis if I don't time it correctly. With his dash on me. But this game, a lot of the time, you'll see me and Sue just kind of healing each other as we're doing right now, as we're getting our ass beat by like a whole bunch of different tanks. And we'll just be healing each other this game. This is what you should be doing if you're getting dove a lot. You should be healing your other healer, and your other healer should be healing you. And especially if you guys are close together with Cloak and Dagger, because again, she has a bubble, and she also has AoE healing autos, so she can take advantage of that, heal herself and her ally. But this video in particular is going to be a good showcase of why I think she's really good on this map, Central Park. And there's going to be many different reasons. But the first is it's because it's a convergence style map. So in convergence in particular, I really like... By the way, before I continue this, look at this. Like, what is going on right now? So I really like this right here, actually, is what I was going to say, her ult. So this might have been a little bit of a premature ult, but the thing I like about Cloak and Dagger on Convergence is that she has an ult that can actually cover a lot of ground, cover a lot of space. And so as you can see here, I can just put myself and my team onto the point with an ult, where I say I wouldn't really be able to do that with Invis Woman as well. And that's one thing I really like about Cloak and Dagger. Now, I could do that with Luna. I could do that with Mantis, but I can't do that with Invis Woman, who I think is really good, but I can especially do that with Cloak and Dagger. So that's why I really like her. That's the first reason. It's mainly for this first point, right? Obviously, the other points are more convoy-oriented, so it's not going to apply as well. The other thing I really like about her is that we're kind of forced into this narrow space, this like really small space, and in videos in the past, I've said Cloak and Dagger actually excels in these situations because she has a lot of AoE healing. When you consider her single target healing, when you put all of her abilities together, right, like her bubble, her E, and her autos, like she can actually have some really good single target healing, but when you just talk about her autos, it's not as good as other characters like Invis Woman or Luna, right? Like they're not going to heal as much as those characters. And so because of that, you need to take advantage of her AoE healing. By the way, look at this like really great ult that we just had, and we were able to kind of get into the point. I really feel like I kind of felt like that ult was a waste at first, but it allowed us to get a lot of pressure, and we're kind of able to get point. That exactly right there is what I was talking about earlier. That's why I love her on this map. Love her on Convergence in particular on this point, but yeah. In any case, though, going back to her autos aren't going to be as effective at healing single targets as other healers, like, again, Invis Woman, Luna, whatever the case. But in terms of AoE, she's really good at healing a whole bunch of people together, right? Because she's got a bubble, which is AoE healing. Her autos are also AoE healing because they create like a spell field of healing around the person that you hit. And then her E is also AoE healing, increasing the healing that your allies also receive. And so in narrow passages like what we just went up against, and also what's going to be around, like, see this like little lane I'm standing at right now, and obviously when we get to the next point as well, or sorry, I don't want to spoil it, if we get to the next point, wink whenever it comes to stuff like that, she's really good at, because she can heal everybody at once. So that was pretty much the long-winded way of me saying that she can heal everybody at once. But yeah, that's another reason why I really like her on this map. And real quick, as we go here, again, I'm just trying to heal as much as I can. I got to heal my other healer. Whenever my other healer dies, I kind of know I'm in trouble, and I don't really want to ult there. I maybe could have thrown out an ult there, but I don't know. That's a rough one. I probably could have ulted there. I didn't want to waste it, but maybe that wouldn't have been a waste. I feel like I'm getting my ult so fast this game. I mean, this is already my third ult, that I feel like I probably could have just thrown it out there. And that's another thing too, right? In these maps, like going back to what I said earlier about AoE healing, in these maps, because people are forced to be together, she's AoE healing, she's getting a lot of what I consider to be heal efficiency, right? Because it's like one auto is healing multiple people, so she's getting a lot of heal efficiency off. She's also getting her ult faster because of that too, right? Because she's healing multiple people at once. So I probably could have just thrown it out right there. That was probably a mistake by me not doing it. But usually when I lose like 1 or 2 people, I don't want to like ult and all that kind of stuff because it's like a waste. But here I'm like, okay, we're kind of caught in name war ult, so let me go ahead and ult, and that's exactly what we do here. And we just place a path right up there, and we're just kind of killing enemy healers. I don't know if I get this cloak, I guess not, but we kind of forced her out of the fight. Unfortunately, I didn't kill her, so the dopamine doesn't hit, but at the same time, too, we kind of forced her out of the fight, so she wasn't healing that whole time, and of course, Spider-Man kills us, so... I've already died a bunch of times this game, but that's not the point. The point is how we're kind of dealing with the dive and, like, how my ults are pretty much giving us space, right? They're creating us space and allowing us to push up when we otherwise wouldn't be able to push up. Like, who knows, maybe we don't even get that convergence point if I don't ult earlier, right? So that's, like, one of the big things. But we're going to try to make our way back over here, and we're, of course, just playing for ult every single time. I think my Invis woman actually got so sick of getting dove this game that he actually just ends up going Rocket, which honestly is pretty fair. I actually like Rocket on my team right now. He's really good at healing another healer. I think my Captain America lags out, and I'm pretty sure I calmed this in-game. But we're just kind of owning, too. One thing, too, is that when you're getting dove like this, you really need... Like, your healers can only sustain each other for so long, and if they're sustaining each other, that means that they're probably not sustaining the rest of the team. And so you typically need one tank or DPS or both to kind of come back and help the healers, right? There's only so much the healers can do when it comes to just sustaining themselves and trying to live, right? You could try to maybe outlive the other healers if they're getting dove, but there's only so much you can do. And so 2 tanks that are really, really, really good at doing that are the Thing, which is what we have, and also Emma. Both of those are really good at doing it, really good at kind of peeling for the back line. There's some other tanks too, I think, that are decent, but those would be the 2 that come to mind when I'm like, hey, I need peel. It's like, you better switch to the Thing or switch to Emma. Thing because he has a cripple, Emma because she has a choke slam, and she's just really good at, well, choke slamming people and setting them up for death. There we go. But we're going to make our way over here, and like I said before, right, there's another narrow passageway. Dang, I just died again. That's crazy. This is a tough one. But this is like another narrow passageway. And so with this, it's like getting that heal efficiency with C&D. And then also, too, once I get my ult, that push up those stairs where the cart goes is actually going to be kind of rough. And so C&D ult's going to really help with that because, again, it's not static. Well, each line is static, but she gets 4 lines, so she kind of gets to choose where she puts them. So it creates like a lot of space. And hopefully I should be ulting here soon to just give us the space. I don't want to ult too early, but yeah, here we go. That's the name we're ult, so we ult right up these stairs, and this is going to be giving us space. I also am able to put pressure onto their healers, who Luna's dead. I've been Luna in that situation many times. Unfortunately, he gets kicked off the map, but then we kill her. Really nice right click. Save ourselves from that Spider-Man cheese, and yeah, I mean, we're chilling. Dang, I almost killed that Spider-Man too. All because we're C&D right there. See, if I'm Invis woman, like, I can't make that play, right? And that's kind of the whole point. That's why I think she's really, really good on this map. So ulting and heal efficiency. And she's also good when you're getting dove, and I think dive is pretty prevalent on this map as well for the most part. Oh, hold on. Well, oh, he got soloed. You can't be getting soloed by a healer. What's going on here? But dive's pretty prevalent on this map. Almost every single time I play this map, Central Park, I get dove like all the time. So that would be another reason why I really, really like her on this map. But yeah, we're just going to try to sustain everybody on cart while we push them in, or while we heal. And also, too, I actually really hate Emma when I'm playing C&D because that shield always blocks my E if I'm trying to, like, cast it forward. The other thing she's actually really good into as well with dive is her E. So I did like a little podcast with Alfie, and I've done some content with Alfie, who is a tank player for LG. And one thing he was saying, which I didn't really think about as much until he said this, but it makes sense, is that C&D is actually really good into triple tank comps, or into tank comps in general. And the reason being is because her E can blind and make tanks take increased damage. But the blind is really, really crucial and key when they're kind of diving up because they don't really know how to deal with it as well, or it just kind of like screws them up in general. So I actually really like that into dive comps. especially into like Venom and Spider-Man and stuff like that. I feel like whenever I hit my Spider-Man or the enemy Spider-Man with my E in Cloak form, they almost always die because they take that initial burst damage. Now they're taking 28% increased damage and they can't see for a little bit. Same thing with like Venom. It's like hard for him to latch onto something because he can't see. So overall, she's actually like really good at being able to survive into dive comps and also kind of like handling the dive comp and being able to do damage and like set them up for failure essentially. All right, we are back. I just want to kind of like skip through that portion and start this portion up. But yeah, so hopefully you guys like learned a lot in that portion of it. I really like her. Like I said on this map, in particular attack, she's not as good on defense in my opinion. Like here I would actually run Sue, I think, over her. If my ally wasn't on Sue, I'd probably pick Sue. Not saying that she's bad on defense by any means. I just think she's exceptionally good on defense for those reasons I listed before. But the reason in terms of healing efficiency still applies because the map structure, of course, is the same. But like, for example, I don't need to go to point because we're defending point already. So I can just go ahead and like play Invis Woman, play Sue, and just kind of cast ults on point already, right? Because you don't need to go anywhere. Whereas with offense, you actually need to get to that point in the first place. But the other thing that's good here too is that we're actually getting dove, so this character is good into dive, of course. So actually, maybe I would still play her even if Invis Woman was open. But in any case, though, we're actually doing a really good job here of just killing people and surviving, sustaining. It's really, really important when you're playing the healer role to make sure that you're just trying to be aware of everybody, not just your tanks. A lot of people tunnel vision onto the tanks, but your DPS need just as much, if not more, healing than the tanks themselves. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll not heal a tank to full HP because I need to heal somebody else. And of course, we don't have unlimited autos like people like to think we do. Our autos are limited until we have to reload. That would be broken. So like what I'll do is I'll heal a tank a little bit, and I know they can sustain more because they're a tank, and then I'll swap over and look at my DPS and heal them. But Emma walks up, and we're able to survive this a little bit, which is nice. I almost have my ult, so I'm playing for it, and then we're able to cast it. Unfortunately, 2 of my teammates have already died, but we get it off, and they get their C&D ults off, but now that's both their ults. So if I get my Invis Woman back over here, we should win this fight. But it's going to take a little bit to get over here, so I want to live. And unfortunately, Spider-Man ends up hunting me down and killing me. This guy was on my ass the entire game, I swear. I hate Spider-Man players. Or I hate what Spider-Man can do right now. I just hope he's not meta like Season 2.5 or Season 3. Because that character is so annoying. In any case, though, we end up wanting the Strange Portal back. Which is a really good call, really good play. You should be doing this whenever you're playing this map, is like having somebody pop the Strange Portal. I honestly don't do it enough. Sometimes I do it, but because I'm a healer, I feel like my role is a little bit more important than DPS. So, I want my DPS to switch. But we're just going to sit in here and heal for a little bit. Strange Portal, I think, lasts for around 20 seconds. So you kind of want to keep that in the back of your head. I have in the past sometimes accidentally not gone through Strange Portal and it goes away. So kind of keep in the back of my head while I'm doing that, like, let me heal through this. You don't want to be the first through it. And let me go ahead and jump in when it's about to close. There, I still ended up dying, but there, what you saw me do was I looked at the time of my bubble and I saw my bubble was coming up. And so what I did is I pretty much float myself in the air in Cloak form. And once I do that, I buy myself enough time to put the bubble on myself. And so that's what I probably have done a couple times this game if I haven't pointed it out already. I don't think I have, though. And that's what you should be doing on Cloak a lot, too, is like, look at that bubble. Your bubble is like a huge self-sustain tool. It is a massive self-sustain tool. Whenever it's up, it's almost like Loki's green for Loki. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's not as good as that, but that's kind of like the feeling you get. It's like whenever that's up, you feel like you can't really die, or like you feel like you have this like safe haven that you can play into. And so it allows me to play a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more confidently into the enemy. So that's good. But yeah, we're just going to sit in the back here a little bit. We do have our ultimate. So we're going to be looking to cast that. We typically want to wait for the enemy to cast their ults whenever... Well, or if we get forced out, but this is actually a good ult because the enemy C&D is ulting too. But we typically want the enemy to cast their ults whenever they can, or like first, and then we cast our ult. That way our ult's obviously going to last a little bit longer and a little bit later, that kind of jazz. Unfortunately, I don't think my team plays on my ult as much. Maybe they do, and Thing just had a really good ult. One thing that's also important to note, I think Rocket's a little overhyped right now, but a lot of what was happening this game, and some other games too, is that the enemy rockets just kind of plays down their ult when you ult as a healer, and all you have to do is just kill it. Like, your team just has to kill it while you're on the healer ult. So I don't know why rockets are doing that as much, at least some of the rockets I've been seeing. I think that's like really stupid. I think if you're trying to counter an enemy healer ult, you should be doing it with another healer ult, not a rocket ult, unless like that's the only thing that you have up. Because again, like, people can just play the healer ult, whether it's like Invis Woman, Luna, right, C and D, they can just play that ult and then just kill your rocket ult. That's what people are doing, at least at higher level. That's what they're doing. You're just killing rocket ult really fast. So that's also why it's important as a rocket to, you know, kind of place your ult in good spots as well. But we're going to back up a little bit here. We want to reposition. Positioning is probably one of the most important things when it comes to support. So trying to reposition here, but unfortunately it wasn't far enough. And I think, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and die. There were a lot of deaths this game. I think overall this game was really good. It's like a really good showcase of what the bullshit that we have to deal with. Whenever people say, you know, the supports don't do anything, it's like, yeah, we'll watch this. But I thought this was just like a really kind of good game to showcase a little bit of a mixture of like how to deal with some of this dive, like doing the best that I possibly can. And also, of course, you know, this being a good pick on this map. But we spawn back here, which is fine. Yeah, we just have to hold them till they get to this point. 2 minutes, not too bad. Always try to look in the positives or in the positive direction for things. And he's not getting me this time, that's for damn sure. He didn't get me the other time either. We're gonna bubble ourselves topstairs. We don't have to bubble ourselves here. That was a waste of a bubble, right? We should only be doing that if we're kind of getting dove. But that was a good, decent E projection. Just making sure I get more healing onto my ally. Pretty good E right there. One thing that you really need to do is just E in cloak form. I know I talked about this earlier, but getting those big E's off can change a fight. I'm telling you right now, they will change a fight, especially onto those tanks, but like onto anybody, it will change a fight. So you got to make sure you're just like kind of shooting those whenever you can. That's why I talked about positioning earlier a little bit too, because as a healer, right, like you want to position back to where the enemy can't hit you, close enough to your teammates so to where they can help you if you're getting dove, but also too close enough to where you can hit these like massive E's. Same thing with like Invis Woman, right, hitting massive pulls and pushes, or I don't know, Luna hitting a freeze, I guess, but but like especially on C&D, hitting like an actual massive E in cloak form can actually change the fight. So you want to make sure that you're positioning close enough to be able to do that. That's another cool thing about her on this map, is this staircase again is very narrow. We discussed this earlier, and because it's very narrow, they have to walk up to us up here, and I can get some really big E's off in this area, which is super nice. So that's really good. Here, of course, we want to LOS the M ult. She ends up getting us anyways, but we positioned back enough to where we were able to negate it, pretty much ignore most of it, and get a good E off. We're just trying to LOS this ult too. Enough people don't, or a lot of people don't LOS ults enough. Here though, like obviously there's nothing we can do about that. I don't have my ult. I don't think Rocket has his ult either. Even if he did, I don't think it would matter too much. So that was a really good LOS, and now we're just keeping Thing alive. Unfortunately, he dies, but we're getting really good picks, and we're actually winning this fight. I didn't think we'd be winning this fight, but I think... Wait, maybe we're not winning this fight. Yeah, I have to be careful here. I almost have my ult up, so I need to like play like I'm the MVP, most valuable person here, and just like literally pop an ult here. Okay, so this is an interesting ult. When I was doing this in game, I thought I did this too early. Because remember what I said earlier? Like, and by the way, look at this massive E. This massive E, I feel like, helps change that fight. You don't really see it physically as much, but like it's there, right? It's there. It's like kind of implicitly like in there. In any case, though, I felt like that ult was a little bit too early because I figured the enemy Cloak and Dagger would ult after me, and that's exactly what ends up happening. Fortunately, though, we're just better, and we end up killing them. And we did get, like, 2 picks, I think, on my ult before she got her ult off, which was really, really massive. But, like, while I was playing the game, while I was doing that, I thought to myself, like, this might be a little bit too early because we're not really getting punished to the point where I have to use this. But at the same time, like if I do use it, then the enemy Cloak ults, I could have just thrown the game right there. So luckily, we actually end up winning the game, which is huge. But that's just one thing to kind of keep in mind in those sort of like standstill situations, those last minute situations. Like try to be the last person to ult. Because if you are the last person to ult, then you'll end up like saving the game for your team. And then the other big thing too is like one thing I try to do too much is I try to min-max my ults a little bit. Like, oh, let me ult at the last second so I get the most value. But then like you end up dying and not getting ult off. So don't try to like min-max all the time either. And especially in those kinds of situations. ults. If you have like some buffer room, meaning like maybe you can die and not ult and it doesn't throw the game, then sure, maybe you can try to min-max. But in those situations, like if I die there without ulting, oh, I'm getting bitched at for sure. Like we lost that game, I'm getting bitched at. I deserve to get bitched at, that kind of stuff. So like one thing I don't want to be doing, this also going through my head, is like trying to min-max some of those ults at the end right there. So that's kind of why I let it rip a little bit on the earlier end. But like I said, it ends up working out for us. And of course, that was the game. Here are the stats. We did a ton of healing, which is awesome. Got MVP, which is dope. Got all the medals, which is, you know, we like to see that. We like medals. We like medals. And we also did a lot of damage. We actually did more damage than our Bucky. I didn't even notice that in game. But Bucky was a healer, I guess, for a little bit. So that's completely fine. And you know what they say too, when you win the game, everybody's playing perfect. So beautiful. But guys, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys learned a lot from this game and why C&D is a good pick on this map. Hopefully, if you guys weren't picking her on this map before, you do now. But yeah, until the next video, see ya.